community demands three things: decency, accountability, transparency. We evaluate people in this country on the contents of their character, not fitting into some small, tiny, outdated, racist, sexist, homophobic 1950s view of a nuclear family. It is extraordinary the number of people that Tony Abbott has been able to politicise.
And what Indigenous people bring to this argument is legality. This whole system's based on lies, as we all know. The legal fiction, terra nullius. Extreme forms of racism, terrorism, policies of genocide. Our people lived for generations, out of sight, out of mind, in detention centres in this country. The only Commonwealth country of 76 Commonwealth countries not to have a treaty. How do you feel about that, Australia? That means that this system is illegal. They don't have jurisdiction here. It's very simple. Their courts are false.
You feel that thought in your side? You feel it? Yes! We felt it for 200 years. It feels like a chainsaw now. Okay? So thanks for coming to the party. I don't call myself Australian. Like I said, this land was never ceded. As I see it, this is an illusion. We've created this crazy system, this entity that controls us. Just behind me over here, there's this place called Cook's Cottage. Just behind here. Now that is a symbol of colonisation. That, to me, is offensive. Like I said, no one gave this place up. It got vandalised a couple of months ago. Now, how come everyone jumps up and down when this place gets vandalised but sacred sites get damaged every day for your mining dollar? No one says that. And here's a promise, Australia. You keep your hands off the Kimberley.
Alright, well, I reckon it's fair to say that our Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, is an absolute embarrassment. He may apparently be a Rhodes Scholar, but he's very easily outwitted by a bunch of Year 9s. And again, I'd like to make another shout out to the wonderful students at Newtown High School. Putting that arsehole in his place. As a student unionist and as a student of history, it's important to see that to get anywhere against this government, we are going to have to fight. Yes. We are going to have to fight on every single front. Every single person that came out here with a gripe against the government, we are going to have to fight around that. We cannot wait for the next election. We need to keep on getting out onto the streets. So what Tony Abbott and Education Minister Christopher Pyne are doing, what they're doing is making the biggest cuts to university funding in 18 years. I was out at La Trobe University just last week where they've just announced 350 staff will be sacked. This is going to happen at university after university because of these cuts. We should remember here that the Labor government were the ones that started cutting education. The Labor government set up the Papua New Guinea solution that saw Reza Barati killed. We need to challenge more than just Abbott, more than just the Liberal Party. We need to challenge the whole undemocratic corporate system we live under. And to do that, we need to keep on fighting.
And I can see the signs of a number of unions. We've got United Voice over here on the right. We've got the Maritime Union over here on the left. We've got my union, the National Tertiary Education Union. I've seen the communication workers. I've seen Australian Education Union members. Instead of taking real action on climate change, they will pay their mates in big business to continue polluting. They will destroy the renewable energy industry to protect their mates in the coal industry. They will destroy the ABC to protect their mate, Rupert Murdoch. Gee, he's a popular guy. Except that we stand here today to say something. We stand here to reject this mad project, this rerun of the 1950s without some of the good music that we had in the 1950s. We commit here instead to an Australia that welcomes the oppressed, that protects its environment, and that unites in a national project to build a sustainable economy with good jobs in which workers are treated with respect.
I came to Australia as a refugee, and I came through the help of a smuggler with my family. And within my family there were 6 kids, and I was the oldest, being 10 at that time. The youngest baby, who was only 1 year old. We made our journey with a boat and came to Australia. It took us 7 days in the water. And you can imagine how it is on those leaky boats. Dangerous. I mean, I witnessed a woman die right in front of me as a 10-year-old kid. It took the Australian Navy ship 2 hours to rescue us. 2 hours. I mean, they were just waiting for a decision from the upper level from someone. I was rescued with the same clothes, and I was with the same clothes for 2 months in that detention centre in Christmas Island. We stayed there for 2 months, but the Australian government back then, John Howard, told us that if you guys travel to Nauru, we are going to process your claims and take you to Australia. I mean, we were happy, okay, they're going to take us to Nauru, let's do it. We flew to Nauru and then found out that they lied to us. They kept us there for nearly 3 years. Australian government told us, there is no hope, you will never get to Australia. But that was a lie too. Why am I here today? Out of nowhere, the Australian government decided to grant us asylum in Australia as a temporary protection visa. I mean, they could have done that at the start when they intercepted us and rescued us in Christmas Island, but they didn't. They wasted all this taxpayers' money and kept us there for nearly 3 years for what? I mean, as an Australian citizen, I'm ashamed of what Tony Abbott and this current government is doing to these refugees. We're ordinary people, we're workers, we're labourers, we spend all day lifting furniture of up to 100 kilos to supply the retail stores of Super Amart. The workers of Super Amart have gone 3 years without a pay rise, and when we turn around and ask the company for a measly $2 extra and an OH&S committee, the company responded by locking us out. This could happen to anyone. This is Tony Abbott's Australia. Please support us. We're outside the distribution centre in Somerton, and it would be a great morale boost to the guys who have been outside protesting, fighting for their rights for 8 days now. I'm a geek. I love technology, and I can see that our future is going to be based on technology. It's not based on old ideas of forgetting people and leaving our network to crumble. Telstra has done this for years, and the Howard government refused to spend money, and now we're stuck in a position where we're at least 10 years, if not 15 years behind the rest of the world. We are starting to be shown up by places like Azerbaijan, by Indonesia, by Pakistan, South Africa and Nigeria. This is not a smart decision. We need a fibre to the premises network. It is the only way of future-proofing our telecommunications, the way that we educate people, the way that we look at health, and the way that we do business over the next 50 years, not the next 6 years. So For me, we all need to be talking to our members, both federal and state, our local councils, and saying this is not good enough. A multi-class system that people at one end of town receive nothing and the people at the other end of town, where it's economically viable, receive the best service possible. This is not right.
That the Abbott government is trying to strangle the renewable energy industry and push coal and gas back to the top of the energy pile. Shame, Abbott, shame! Tony Abbott is in the middle of trying to pull down the most important renewable energy laws in this country, the laws that have built that sector. It's called the Renewable Energy Target. Get out and talk about it and speak about it and make sure this doesn't happen. We have to keep coal and gas in the ground. We've just seen what happens at Hazelwood, at Morwell, when fossil fuel companies get their way. Our second message is to the owners of the Hazelwood power station. Your first duty is to pay to compensate the people of Morwell for the financial, the physical and the emotional destruction you have caused.
They've effectively banned new wind farms. They've abandoned the 20% emissions reduction target for Victoria. They've abandoned the plan to start phasing out coal-fired power stations such as Hazelwood. They've drastically cut the solar feed-in tariff, and now they're looking to allocate 13 billion tonnes of new coal in order to try and establish a coal export industry in Victoria.
Now take a moment to remember these words. I'm sure you all know them. No Australian family will be worse off under a coalition government. The Prime Minister, in all his wisdom, declared himself the Minister for Women. And the first thing that this so-called Minister for Women did was to attack a female-dominated sector by axing hardly fought pay rises from thousands of educators across the country. Then he attacked our wage claim that he urged us to lodge before the election. We will not be silenced, Mr. Abbott. It is high time that something is done about the childcare crisis in Australia. An investment in our children is an investment into this country's future.
It won't matter what your issue is. It won't matter what your campaign is. The corporations will be in control of our democracy. This is the end game. This is the merging of the corporate with the state. It is often known as fascism or totalitarianism. Our government must release the draft text to the people of Australia before anything is signed. I urge you, call your MP, demand they release this secret corporate text to the people of Australia before they sign anything.
And the latest word is that we're up to 50,000 people at this demonstration.